Hello, everyone, and we are back. Thank you so much for joining me for this edition of Business Over Brunch. My name is Kima. I'm the creator and the host of the podcast. I'm also the senior publicist for Maddie Clay Branding and Public Relations and agency director for Redhead Creative Media Group. But enough about me. Let's talk about Business Over Brunch. We're one of your newest beauty podcasts. So every first and third Saturday, I'll be joined by contributors and insiders of the beauty industry. So don't forget, set your reminders. Meet me here every first and third Saturday for the tea or the brunch on the beauty industry. So today I'm super excited. I am joined by Miss Kristyn Harris. She's the managing editor for Sheen Magazine. Hi, Kristyn.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks so much for joining me. What's going on with you this weekend?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me because your work and you doing this so often, I have to give you kudos because this is crazy.
Thank you.
It's so pretty. But I am just, winding down from the week. I think we all are because you know how this media game is. It's just constant go, go, go. 2 days of kind of a break and then back at it.
Right. Right. So we're not going to take too much of your time this weekend so you can have your break and enjoy before you get back to the grind. So, of course, it's Business Over Brunch. So what is your brunch drink or what are you brunching on today? I'm going to enjoy a little mocha cappuccino to get my day started. What are you going to have?
So don't laugh at me, okay? I have my gallon of water here. This is going to be my drink.
No laughter here. Because I probably need to be joining you.
Right. Yeah. I just feel like, it's crazy.
You have to revitalize yourself. But let's go ahead and jump right in. So, Kristyn, we know that you're the managing editor for Sheen, but tell us a little bit about who you are.
Ooh. See, this is such a complex question for me because I feel like I get, I define myself by my role. But anyways,
right.
I am 27. I'm from South Carolina, born and raised. I actually went to school for mass communications and I have a minor in business. So honestly, the trajectory of where I ended up was kind of random because I didn't know how or where I would get here. I do have a love for fashion, beauty, hair, and lifestyle. So Sheen really aligned with me. Little Jim, I am adopted, and I just recently found my adopted family, and they live an hour away from me in Columbia.
Yay, my neck of the woods.
Yes.
So congratulations. I'm so happy to hear that for you. Hope everything goes well when you all connect face to face once we get past this and get into a place where it's safe. So you mentioned that, your love for beauty and fashion. How did you know that you wanted to be a journalism? Because I was also a communications major and that's where I thought I wanted to be, but then I ended up in PR. So how did you know that journalism was what you wanted to do? And who was one of your inspirations coming up?
Ooh, that's a really good question. So how did I know? I knew because I was always writing from an early age. I was making up stories. My parents would always be like, "You're so imaginative. You can think of all this stuff." And it's like, yeah, girl, it's just living right up here in my brain. But one of my inspirations, if we're talking about a little bit early on, it's going to sound kind of funny, but you remember those Junie B. Jones books?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I used to write just how that author wrote. Like, hi, my name is da 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 and blah blah blah. So honestly, that's probably what got the I guess the character of writing for me down.
Wow, that's interesting. It's so, most of us who are in communications, we all start off with, I like to talk, I like to write, I like to tell stories, different things. So I actually wanted to be an investigative reporter. So yeah, it was really interesting. And my people always side-eye me, but I used to love watching Barbara Walters on the weekend. She was like, because she's that lady who could ask those questions and no matter what she asks, you're going to give her an answer because it's Barbara Walters, right? So, it's always interesting to hear, who people get their inspiration from. So like you mentioned, you're 27 and you're the managing editor for one of the premier magazines for the African American community. That's pretty young. So congratulations. What did that look like for you? And how did you, get on that path to becoming the editor? And did you even think that was going to be possible for you so soon?
So definitely no. It's a funny story, actually. So I just graduated from college. I was working at the Blood Connection, and I think you probably know a little bit about it because you're from this side of the world. But basically, my job was to stand outside and ask people to donate blood. in the middle of the summer in all the heat, and I was so awkward, and I just stand beside the sign all day long. But fast forward a couple months later, one of my friends who I actually graduated with, she was like, "Hey, Sheen needs some writers. Do you want to, come and write for us?" And I was like, "Yes, anything to get out the sun because I'm not trying to stay out in the sun all day." So,
Right.
so I went and I learned under her and our former editor in chief she was there for about 6 months, and then she left, and that position was open. The managing editor position was open. So at the time, my boss came to me and he was like, "All right, so you can either take this or we can find somebody else. But if you take this, understand what you're taking on."
Wow.
And that's kind of how I got started. It was all like random, but it was the perfect timing, honestly.
It was divine intervention. So that is so awesome. So you have been the editor, managing editor for a little over 2 years. So for someone, of course, who may not get, that path to success so soon, what are some things that you would suggest that they do if that's, in their line of sight of wanting to start their own publication or manage a publication?
Ooh, honestly, learn. I have a lot of journalists that I work with who are like, "Hey, is there anything I can do to help so that I can learn?" And then also, I'm learning from them all the time. I think that that's one of the main things because now with social media, we see all this instant gratification, and it's like, but what did you take on your path there? So learning, building relationships, and if that is what you want to do, just making sure that you're actually in those spaces. So if you want to manage something, you one need to make sure you're with something that may give you that opportunity to grow. And again, just be humble because we have this conversation all the time. We're all just human beings,
Right.
and any of this could be taken away at any time. So you really just have to be humble and work hard and take those moments when you can learn from someone else.
Absolutely. I'm always one that says never not learning. And
Right.
you always have to align yourself with people who have some of those same passions, some of those same trajectories, some of those same experiences so that you can pick up from. My mentor at NPR. She teases me because I'll take the same webinar over and over again because I feel like every time I take it, especially in our industry, there's something that is always changing. So what we learned last week may not even be the same, this week, especially, when it comes to formats and how to pitch you guys and, build relationships and different things like that. So definitely learn and attach yourself with people. So, as the managing editor for Sheen, what are some of your visions for the magazine? Where do you see it going, and how much control do you have in, implementing some of the vision that you have?
Okay. My vision is just to continue to build off of what the name and the, creation of Sheen Magazine was. It was to entertain, but it also was for hairstylists. When you're in the, salon, that's where I first saw my first Sheen Magazine, actually, in the salon. So my vision is to just keep going at it. Honestly, we are, looking for new ways every day to improve and enhance. And one way of doing that is tapping really hard into the digital space. I want to say since last March, we've produced over 125 shows on Instagram Live. Just trying to make sure that we can, keep it going. And in terms of how much control I have in that, I work really closely with our publisher and our creative director, and we kind of encompass what that editor in chief would do. So we're always working together as a team. So
That's
yeah.
awesome.
hmm
Yeah, the digital space, you definitely have to be willing to get into it. I know some people who aren't, but if you're not, you're really behind the times. And so I was also featured on Sheen Talk. So thank you. That was so much fun. And I had a great time speaking about the podcast, which is what we were there for, and some new things that we have coming up. So thank you so much for that invitation to be on with Sheen Talk. So getting into the digital space, you also have print publication, which we know, a lot of publications are going away from print, but you all still have, your print edition, and hopefully that will continue, well past the expectation of what people have, for the media industry. So with brands, okay, so we know that people always talk about where they want to be seen, how they want to get there, and they just think it's as simple as send the email, or, my brand is popping, or, I have this great story. But what do you want people to think of Sheen when they say, okay, this is one of my, target publications? What do you want them to think of when it comes to how their brand will be represented, or if their brand is even a good fit, for the magazine?
Okay. Yeah, so definitely when it comes to brands and approaching us specifically, you have to tell your story. I'd say this all the time. If you do not know your story, how are we supposed to know it?
Exactly.
We get half off pitches all the time, which is literally just, hey, my homegirl's name is such and such, and she want to be in your magazine. What does she do? What does she look like? What's her following? Things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And also just understanding with us personally, it doesn't matter the size of your brand if you have 5 followers or if you have 25,000 followers. We want all of it. But also understanding that when it does come to Sheen, that if you are pitching specifically a brand, there may be a cost associated with it because it is advertising.
Mm-hmm.
That's a conversation that I've been having a lot because people sometimes call it like paying for your article or paying for your name, but it's actually you just paying for your exposure of your advertisement. And that's something that I think people really have to get used to now.
Definitely. So can you take a moment and explain for the people who don't understand the difference between earned media and paid media, and what they should expect when they are pitching to what they think should be just an automatic placement with no cost involved?
Ooh, okay. So earned media. You usually have to go with what we're kind of handling at the time. For me personally, I handle pitches for the magazine and for Sheen Talk Live. So what are you doing right now that is appealing to what Sheen is doing right now? And that's simple to find. You can go in our media kit. We could have a discussion. Or you could just look at our Instagram. Our social media manager is super relevant to the time, and she's really good at updating things. Also, if you align with the magazine, you align with our theme. If we're doing like Karen and Ming and Bambi, the naked issue, what about that do you have that will fit our magazine? Do you have a makeup brand that has nearly naked makeup? Do you have an SPF that gives you a matte finish so you don't have to wear foundation? Things like that. And paid media, again, are you blatantly saying, hey, this is my brand, y'all, please promote it, and I don't care when we do it, let's just do it ASAP.
Right. So you're
Mhm.
thinking, so paid media is really going to be like a full page spread, half page spread, even sometimes advertorials, which I think confuse people sometimes as well with the feature. But trust and believe, you can tell the difference between an advertorial and, an actual placement with an interview and different things like that. So you
Mhm.
definitely want to pay attention to how your brand will look, and, how you want that to feel when you go out to reach, Sheen and any other publication. So you mentioned about the half pitches. I want to be featured. My homegirl wants to be featured, or we have a connection. I have this client. Can you just put them in the magazine? Of course, we know that's not going to fly. So for someone who doesn't have a publicist, or even for pitches that you've gotten from publicists that were half cocked, what would be your way that you would like to be pitched?
So I like to be pitched super simple. One, you please remember that wherever you're pitching, people are reading all day long. So you got to make it kind of short, condensed, and things that we can digest easily and quickly, because we have not only you, but so many others, regardless of what in whatever magazine or publication that you're reaching out to. I prefer pictures because I love seeing pictures. I'm on Instagram all day. If you want to add your press release inside the body of that, but before the press release, just give me a sentence, and it can be red ink or black ink, about what you want to do. Because honestly, a lot of the times when I just see a press release, I'm like, okay, cool. Let me see if there's something that involves us. Okay, no, delete. So just kind of outline exactly what you want so that you and I don't have to have a back and forth. We can just figure out exactly where you need to go, because in my case, I have 4 other editors that work with me. and we're all getting pitches every day. So if I can streamline that communication, we can move faster.
Right, absolutely. And so when it comes to knowing who to pitch, again, you can look at the media kit for that information, but do you often get pitches where it should go to someone else, or you see that they're pitching you as well as someone else on the same email? Like, what are the do's and don'ts of that part of reaching out to multiple people in the same publication?
Okay, so whether it's the same or it's a different publication, a lot of the times I get copied on it. And it is kind of like, okay, if you know that it goes to them, just send it to them. But the don'ts, a lot of times people are pitching to a wide variety of outlets, and they're just, copying you on the email. So now we have all the communication you've had with these other people. It's not personalized. It's just, hey, everybody, somebody please publish me. Some of the do's, do make sure that, it's big for me that names are spelled right, because I'm so sensitive about my little name, because it's just like, it's, when not specifically when you're pitching, but it's on the website. You can find all of our names in the magazine. There's a masthead that gives you the person's name and their title. So I just think that's really important. Don't, let's see, I would say don't try to pitch one person, but also include another person in as like, a pressure point for them, because you're, like, I get you want to do it, but that shouldn't have to be a thing. Following up, if you're going to follow up, I would do it, every so often. Get creative with how you follow up with people, because, we get a lot of, hey, just following up. And if you can tell me there, hey, just following up on blank project, that also helps too.
Right. Because like you said, you get so many emails that you may have seen it, but now you need something to, trigger your memory about why this may be something that's important, to you or the publication. So some really good ones. So if you're listening and you're thinking about, getting into Sheen or any other publication, I hope you're taking notes, because Kristyn, of course, is speaking from, the media aspect of it and managing and having to scroll through thousands of emails a day. So there is a Twitter hashtag, hashtag PR fails, about things that publicists do in regards to pitching different publications. And so you mentioned, of course, making sure that your pitch is, enough information to see whether or not it piques your interest. You mentioned, spelling names right. What are some other PR fails that you've gotten when you've received some pitches that were like, what were you thinking?
Putting my email address in and addressing someone else in another magazine or another outlet, that's something big, because part of me is like, okay, maybe I should answer because this is kind of for me, but not really. That's one big one. Also, it's really big for me that we at least start out with some sort of, hey, how you doing? I hope you're doing well, because of the time that we're in. And I know that's something super, super small, but I feel like a lot of people, forget that because they're so busy. Like, can I get my client in? For me personally, my communication skills, we're working on them. I do have a mass communications degree, but it is slightly, like I'm kind of all over the place. I personally prefer to have a pitch in an email. And if you have my number, or if we're friends on Instagram or Facebook, just go ahead and, send something. So that way I know, because my brain goes 90 different places because we're doing 90 different things at once.
Right.
I do want to mention, I did have a PR group actually do a love language quiz, and they sent it out. Yeah, it was so neat. And I just want to tell everybody that because it was so cool. They asked how you like to be pitched, what time of day, what you would like your pitches to look like. And they really followed through with that after they sent that love language quiz. And I thought that was so cool, because you don't even think about stuff like that. Like, wait a second, how do I want to be communicated?
That is absolutely true. And everybody I know has different, styles, things that turn them off. You were recently with the Women in PR Summit. And again, thank you so much for doing that for us. You ladies dropped some really good gems. But I remember, one of the editors from last year, I think, saying that even after business hours, is a turnoff. And, I didn't really think about that because, I feel like in a sense, we're all attached to our emails. But then when I was speaking to Angie, who's the organizer for Women in PR, she was like, well, think about it. You're tied to your phone. So if you get a notification, you're going to look. Yep. And so if it's after a certain time, you're like, do I answer? Do I wait? Yada, yada, yada. So from that, I started scheduling my pitches to go out, either in the morning or the afternoon. So you definitely want to make sure, like she said, getting to know, have some personality behind it, respecting them. And then even one thing I would like to mention is, and this is something that I'm constantly working on, is building relationships. So like Kristyn and I have been communicating for a few months since we actually connected on Clubhouse. So yeah, I do have her number, but I'm not just going to text her all willy-nilly, So you definitely, even when you have that personal connection, you still want to respect the bound that, this is a publicist journalist relationship, and different things like that. So really good information. So we see these wonderful covers of Ming and Karen Civil and Bambi looking oh so elegant in that green gown. Like, oh girl, if I looked like that when I was pregnant, I might be willing to do it all over again. What have been some of your favorite covers or stories that you've worked on?
Ooh, I love that question. That's such a juicy question. Let's see here. I really, just a little thing before, I really enjoy when the journalist is excited about it. So Karen and Ming's story was exciting because she was excited to do it. And the journalist that wrote that story actually got to be at the shoot. So, it's just a different experience when you can vibe and figure out beforehand. But one of my favorite cover stories, to date, actually one of them is about to come out in the next issue. So definitely look out for that. But probably Tanisha Long. She was I actually have it with me because I did her interview yesterday. She was the March, April cover girl from 2020. Here's her cover.
Okay.
And I really enjoyed that one because Tanisha is personal. She's personal. And so, when you have somebody who is an open book, their interviews or their stories go a little bit better because you already have everything that you need. You just need to ask the right questions.
It's not like pulling teeth to get, filler information.
Exactly.
That definitely makes a difference. And like, even when I tell my clients, when we're responding to interviews, sometimes now, especially in the digital age, a lot of interviews will be written instead of, over the phone or in person. And I'm like, you have to, answer these questions like you're having a conversation. You wouldn't just answer an interview with the one sentence. So don't do the same thing, in the written interview. So you still want it to relate as personable.
Yes, you are such a gem for saying that because I promise you that's what you get all the time. No, I do not like catfish or whatever. And I'd be like, what am I supposed to do with this?
Right.
No, yeah.
I find myself, adding things, especially as I build relationships and know my clients, I'll add in like a filler sentence or something like that, or how I think they would respond. Because I do want it to read as if you actually spoke with the person, because not everyone is going to know. Well, of course, people reading are not going to know whether or not you actually sat down with them or if you just filled in your information, and sent the questions back. So you definitely have to give us something to work with. So you talked about your next issue that's coming up. Can you give us a little sneak peek for people who might want to know what's going on, what the editorial calendar looks like for the next couple of months so they can prepare? And if Sheen is going to do so, it's May now. So I know you guys will be getting ready for gift guides and different things coming up. So what can we look forward to and how can they prepare for what's upcoming to see if their brands will be a good fit for the upcoming editions?
Okay, yeah. So we are bi-monthly. So that means right now, technically we're in May, but we in our world are in July and August. So in the next coming weeks, our timeline is September, October. So one thing I always tell people is if you're pitching to us, please do it a little bit earlier, but not too early so that we don't forget. But definitely the next issue, we're kind of, tweaking it a little bit. It's going to be something in the fitness, but definitely fashion realm because of who our cover will be. And it's, fashion week. Well, what is
What would be Fashion Week,
what
right?
yeah. And then after that is the holiday issue. So to encompass the holiday issue, we always do a gift guide on the website. Our web editor, shout out to Talvo, is a queen. She literally does a gift guide for every single day of December until Christmas.
Wow.
So if you want to get in on that, that's perfect because it's instant, it's quick. And last year we did do it where we posted some of the items on Instagram. So that may happen again, but definitely that's something to look out for. And again, the gift guides that are inside the magazine, we have what we call it a mode. It's a calendar, and we put the products on the calendar. So we always have that available. But next, September, October, sports, fashion, and November, December, holiday. This holiday season, I'm always like happy go lucky with let's make sure something cheerful is in there. So that's going to be really the time to have pieces about spending the holidays, how to slowly, interact again with
Mhm.
family, whether you're vaccinated or not vaccinated, however you believe, things like that.
Right. So everybody, make sure you get your brands ready.
Um,
Um, I know she didn't mention it, but I know she will appreciate high resolution photos.
I'm so sorry. Yes, you're right. I want that.
High resolution photos, not photos taken, with your phone or if you have a crappy camera. Because hey, I have a Note 9 and I feel like my camera is one of the best. So
Yes.
I might be able to pass the test. But if you have grainy photos, please don't send those to be in a gift guide of a national publication. So definitely, Kristyn, this has been so good. So before we wrap up, what piece of advice would you give someone looking to enter into the wonderful world of journalism?
Ooh, okay. So are we talking about pitching to write for a certain company or
Someone who wants to be, a media personality or a writer, reporter, someone who
oh,
wants to actually work in the industry.
okay, got it. Be yourself. Don't be afraid to be quirky or whatever that may be. Honestly, that's what I appreciate. I appreciate authenticity and I appreciate when you're okay with just being who you are. If you are sending reels out to, get hired on, or if you are doing written work to try to get into a publication, make sure whatever you're sending, there's something that's catchy because I tell all my friends who are starting things, what makes you different? There's a million people doing what you do, but why is yours special? And there's a reason. Everyone has a special reason. Everybody has a special point. So first find that and show that throughout everything that you do. And also, really hone in on that person that you want to be as you start your journalism career,
Mhm.
as you start your, corresponding career. But just also make sure that, things aren't always going to go as planned. I had a copy editor who's still my friend now, but he used to work for Sheen, and he always told me, Kristyn, you're stressing about something that in 5 weeks, 5 years won't matter. So take your losses just as good as you take your wins. And just remember that this might not work, but something is coming for you. And what's the saying they have now? The closed doors were meant for the something like that.
Okay.
Just because doors are closing doesn't mean that you won't find an open door. Is what
Right.
I say. Yeah.
That is absolutely right. You have to look out for the opportunities. Rejection is a part of life. And if something doesn't go your way right now, it just means that it wasn't for you right now. So I think, what is it? Delayed, but not denied.
That's what.
Um, so yeah, yeah, yeah. This has been so much fun, Kristyn. I am definitely looking forward to us, staying connected and hopefully, in our South Carolina worlds, crossing paths much
Yes.
sooner than later. I think I'm like an hour away from you in either direction. So we definitely need to meet up for some brunch for real,
Yes. Real for
so
real.
we can talk. So I'm sorry, I have one final question that really came to my mind as you were talking. So for someone, I know that there are a lot of publicists who are now contributing to magazines. For someone who wants to look at that as a second career, but we don't have, a portfolio, what would you suggest that we do? Because that's something that I actually thought about early this year, just digging back into the journalism background. What would you suggest that we do to, kind of get a portfolio going to submit to show that we have the ability to do that?
For us specifically, we just ask for 2 writing samples. So you write press releases, or you help write your client stories sometimes when you do have to add that filler sentence. Just send that over, honestly,
Yeah.
because you think about it, you probably write just as much as I write. So
Yes,
that's all we
writing
need.
is a big part of who we are and what we do.
Yeah, so that in a resume, because that's all that really matters. I will say, if you are a publicist and you're looking to be a journalist, um, no shade to anybody out there. We get you have your clients, and we love that you have your clients. If they fit, let's use them, but don't try to just sneak them in the cracks every time you
Right.
see an opportunity. Yeah.
Right. I definitely get that. That's been a big conversation, probably over the last few months,
Yeah.
where people have talked about they can guarantee
Ooh.
placements in certain magazines and different things like that. So it still has to be a fit. It still has to be natural. So I definitely get that. So thank you for that. So let me go ahead and put my writing samples together.
Well, you got them. They right there on your computer.
Yeah, so I can get another part of this degree
Right.
from the College of Charleston that still needs to be
Oh,
paid for. So yeah.
oh,
So
that's so cool.
yes, so I'm from CFC. Well,
Yes,
CFC alum from Columbia. So
yes.
yes, so always representing. So Kristyn, thank you so much. For real,
Thank
we definitely
you.
have to connect. This has probably been one of my most favorite interviews so far. So thank you again for being a part of Business Over Brunch. I definitely appreciate you giving me a little bit of your Saturday. So you can go ahead and enjoy your break before you jump back into the grind. Hey.
Bye.
Yes. So to everyone out there, again, my name is Kima. Thank you so much for joining me for brunch. Until next time, be blessed and enjoy whatever is on your brunch menu. Have a great Saturday.